Hello. Hi, good morning. How are you doing? My name is Tim Clark. Welcome back to day 2 of UK Construction Week. I hope you've enjoyed yesterday if you attended. Just what is SEO? I don't know if you guys get it, but I get a spam email about once a day from someone selling me the magical answer to my online problems. It often is, sadly, a bit of a scam, or a spam even. But luckily, we today have Peter Richmond, Managing Director of Plug and Play, who's actually going to help you. You're going to give some real tips that really will help SEO and website and sell your business. Well, I'll hand you over to Pete.
Thank you very much. Cool. Fantastic. Well, thanks for joining us this morning. I'm Peter Richmond from Plug and Play. Plug and Play is a web design and digital marketing agency. We're based in Guildford and London. Been going for about 18 years, probably worked on something like 600 websites. So the data and the information that we've got and that we're going to be sharing with you today is based on the aggregate learning from hundreds of websites. So rather than operating in a silo where you can only sort of see that information and that data from your one website and trying to figure out what to do about it, we can see the outcomes of all the learnings and the strategies that we've worked on over many years and distilled that down into a formula that you can use yourselves to help improve your own websites. So that's the plan. So there's quite a few things we're going to cover today. Digital marketing overall obviously covers a huge array of different things. And the problem with this is there's just no time to talk about all this stuff. So we're going to really zoom in on a couple of key areas and some key nuggets that you can take away today and implement in your own businesses tomorrow. And there's 2 key areas that I want to really talk about are search engine optimization, how we're going to increase your market penetration, and conversion rate optimization, how we're going to actually turn more of those visitors into inquiries, into leads, into phone calls. When we're talking to our clients about how to improve their marketing, how to generate more leads more often, how to get those phones ringing and those emails landing, we look at the customer acquisition cost model. Now, if you're not familiar with this, the customer acquisition cost model, fundamentally, if you look at your marketing spend, your customer acquisition cost is your entire marketing spend divided by your number of new customers. So that's how much it costs you to win a customer. And what we want to do is start breaking that down and understanding what you can do to influence that number, and actually what are the factors that lead into it. So across the customer acquisition cost model, there's a couple of key things to look out for. Your market penetration and your conversion rate, particularly when it comes to online marketing. So what we've got here across the model is we're starting with market size. Market size is the number of people doing the searching. You can get this from Google AdWords or Moz.com or SEMrush or something similar. But actually, if you add up all the searches for all the things you want to rank for, that's your market opportunity size per month. Your market penetration, therefore, is actually the percentage difference between your market size and the number of people visiting your website. That'll give you an indication about how many people are actually coming versus the market size, and give you an indication as to what's your likely ability to grow into that market, or how penetrative are you into that market. But obviously that traffic turning into leads, your telephone calls and your inbound inquiries, that's then your conversion rate. See, there's key factors that we've got that we can actually use to change the outcome that you've got. How do we generate more leads? Well, these are the 2 key areas that you can actually influence. So we're going to start off with how to be found. Being found in Google, and obviously there's loads of other marketing tools out there that you can use in social and all that stuff, and we'd be here all week talking about it. So we're just going to zoom in on Google for a minute and look at organically how can you be found more frequently in Google. So obviously we all know how Google works. You open it up in your browser, you type stuff in, magic happens, you find stuff, you go to the website, boom. But obviously how Google does that and how it actually ranks you hasn't really changed over 20 years. People SEO people will be like, oh, that's changed in this way and that way, and this ridiculously named algorithm update or whatever. Ignore all that. Basically, what's going on is Google's got a couple of key things that it's been doing forever, and that's looked at trust. How much do I trust you? It looks at contextual trust. How much do I trust you about this particular thing? And it looks at specificity. How particular are you? How niche are you within a particular vertical or sector or segment? Those are the 3 things that Google really cares about. So when we think about trust, we think about, for example, I trust my own mother, but if I had a broken laptop, I'm not going to take it to her to fix. And that's the distinction kind of between trust and contextual trust. Whereas if I were to take my laptop to Dave in our IT department and he'd fix my laptop, that's contextual trust around his ability and my understanding of what he can do. So trust and contextual trust are really particular. Specificity about your website, your code, your content. How particular is your content? You can have great content, but if it's written in poor code, Google might interpret it differently, and it might not be as specific as someone else. And that's actually where some of these tricks come in, because, so take, for example, architects. Now, there's probably like, I don't know, 24,000, 25,000 architects in the UK, something like that. There's 10 positions on page 1 of Google. So there's 24,990 disappointed architects. I don't know. But it's one of those where actually this competitive nature of needing to appear in search terms for Google or other search engines actually makes that dynamic really difficult. So actually these tiny little things that you can do to improve, you might find just tweaking these things can actually make a massive difference to where you rank. So Google's looking at trust, contextual trust, and specificity, and that is everything you need to know about Google. We'll come on to like how you can influence that in a sec. Because one of the other key things that people fail to do when they're thinking about ranking is they don't look at the battle selection, and they don't rank themselves. They don't look at actually what's my likelihood of ranking for something, and what's the gap analysis between where I rank and where I want to rank. And they don't do that gap analysis and then understand what do I need to do to actually now fill that gap? What time, money, resources do I need to actually implement in order to be successful here? So a lot of the people that we talk to have tried SEO before or have their websites, and what they've done is they've tried to pick battles that are way too big and they'll never succeed. So it's a waste of time, it's a waste of money. Or they spread themselves really thinly across so many fronts. You might remember, like back in the day, people having like loads of locations and like, you know, plumber in Warrington, plumber in like wherever, and you'd have like hundreds of pages on the same website, which is basically the same, and that stuff doesn't work either. So basically what you want to do is make sure that you're picking battles that you have a statistical probability of success on. And what you need to do there is understand, why am I ranking where I'm ranking? Why are my competitors ranking where they're ranking? And what can I do about it? Once you've started understanding that landscape, you've then got some choices to make. And that's where actually digital marketing and marketing in general becomes the strategy of choosing what not to do. Because actually you just really need to zoom in and focus on what's likely to be successful. To give you a bit of an idea about how this works, I've got an example here for an architectural firm called Manali & Mann. And when they started working with us, they ranked 32nd in Google for commercial architects. So what we actually have to do is sort of unpack why are you ranking on page 4 of Google for this thing, and what can we do about it? Is this an opportunity for you to rank more highly? So when we're looking at Google, and actually there's a couple of tools here that we use that some of this data is from. One of them is moz.com, which is moz.com. And another one is SEMrush, semrush.com. Both are really good at giving you some insights into the competitive metrics of the websites that you're looking at. So actually, some of these data points are from those tools. So for example, domain authority, 23. Domain authority is a proxy for trust. So this is how trustworthy is this website. It's derived from lots of different things. So for example, Google has this part of its algorithm called the knowledge graph. And that knowledge graph looks at, for example, how long have you been in your location on Google Maps? How long have you been a company or a business on company's house? Like, what do the company's house records say? What's your Experian credit rating? There's loads of stuff that goes into Google's knowledge graph. But then also, inbound links, how long have you been going as a business? Like, have you generated organic inbound links from high-quality locations? All that stuff feeds into your domain authority, your trust. Page authority is a bit of a proxy for contextual trust. So this is my laptop is broken, I get the IT guy to fix it. And what we've got here, the domain authority and page authority, is we're looking at the competitive nature of all of these people ranking, and can we do something about it? So our client for commercial architects is on page 4. We know the search volume is 50 to 100. But actually, their domain authority of 23 and 18, if you look here at TeliaDB, they had a page authority of 18 and a domain authority of 16. So they've actually got lower trust metrics than our client, but they're ranking 4th in Google, and our client was on page 4 of Google. So why is that? And actually, the key in this particular instance is it's a bit of a good flag for us to say, they've got good trust rating metrics, but actually this website is built better. That's what it is. Atelia's website was a better quality website. It had better content, which was more aligned with the search term. It had better bounce rate, so more people that went there didn't then leave and go somewhere else. So what can we do to improve their website? So obviously on the after, we rebuilt the website, amended the content, aligned it, made sure that the on-page specificity was good. So they were about 3 months after launch, they were number one in Google. And this is like quite a while ago. In Moz, they give you a chart like this. SEMrush do something similar. So this chart is, each bar is a week, and the height of the bar is the number of keywords on page 1 of Google. The blue is top 3 positions of Google, and the green is positions 4 to 10. And the key thing here is what we don't want to do is we don't want to pick like one keyword. It's a bit like buying a stock. If you just buy one stock, the market might go up and down for that one stock in a quite volatile way. But if you buy a tracker, like a FTSE 100 tracker or S&P 500 tracker, you actually like aggregate that across hundreds of keywords. Actually, you get that sort of smoothing out of like your time and effort and energy. So what you've got here is like this aggregate increase. There's a couple of other key things here about how the website's been put together, which I'll come on to in conversion rate around speed, quality, design, and so on, which actually also influences Google's ranking algorithm. So what we've done here is we've wiped away all the keywords that they were going for that they didn't have a chance of succeeding in. We focused on the keywords that they actually could succeed in based on their competitive metrics, and that we could achieve by doing things that were in our control. We can improve the code, we can improve the content, we can align the content with the right keywords. And in doing so, give something that Google will find very specific, that they have contextual trust in. And that's how to deliver high-performance rankings. So 5 months after launch, there's like a 91% increase in organic traffic. This actually kept going up months and months and months and months after launch. So they ended up with thousands of % increase in market penetration. So the key thing here is you need to research all the keyword variants and consider the intent. Intent's a really interesting one. It's a bit of a black art because, so for example, as a web agency, we have agency on all of our keywords because we don't want people looking for freelancers. So we don't want people going, oh, we need a web designer. Pointless for us. The intent is we need someone who knows they need an agency, as an example. So when you're thinking about your own keywords, what keywords can you find intent in those keywords? Another sort of slight trick is longer words, i.e. words which are like, so keywords in this scenario is actually a phrase of like 2 to 5 words long. So the longer it is, the more intent there is in finding the solution. So for example, if they're looking for like, a recruiter to find a new job, but by the time they get to like, I don't know, an IT recruitment firm based in Guildford, they've got a lot of intent in trying to find what they're looking for. So that intent is often correlated with the length of the keyword as well, and they're more likely to convert on the longer tail keywords. So consider the intent. Think outside the box. So we actually had a client who sold rabbit hutches online, and we went wide on all the keywords, and what we found was that there was this lack of competition in the always lucrative guinea pig market. And so what we did was they're effectively crates with chicken wire, basically the same thing for rabbit hutches or chicken coops or whatever. But actually we copied and pasted their entire product catalog, changed the word rabbit hutches to guinea pig hutches, and boom, it's now a third of their entire business. So actually, they've gone into that and it's really carried them through. Invest in the tools you need. Moz.com and SEMrush are like the two really pro tools. For an individual website, they're actually reasonably cheap, so it's definitely worth going and getting a free trial for that, and you can get your domain authority, your page authority, and it will also suggest some keywords to you based on your competitive metrics, so that's a really good start. So we've identified how we're going to get some more market penetration. We've thought about the keywords that we can target based on our likelihood of success. So we're going to start getting visitors. So once we've got visitors, how are we going to turn them into leads? And that's where conversion rate comes in. The thing about conversion rate is you need to sort of understand a good start point as to what's a good conversion rate to start with. This data is actually from Unbounce, which is a landing page platform. Slightly skewed data here. The reason the data is quite skewed is because being a landing page platform, they're used by all sorts of businesses. So for example, Nike use them to sell trainers, but people know who Nike are. And they probably already know, trainers, fundamentally, people need shoes, right? We don't just walk around barefoot. So by the time you actually think about the likelihood of maybe some retargeting, people have already looked for shoes or trainers, and Nike's like retargeting them, their bounce rate's going to be really low. They're going to have a much better conversion rate because they already have brand awareness and they already have a need. Within business services or within like the construction sector, for example, I'd probably recommend that you're looking for a percentage of like 2 to 4% conversion rate. The reason is if your conversion rate is really high, then what that's probably telling you is that your market penetration is too low, i.e. people are only finding you because they're actually looking for you already, and you're not being discovered by people who weren't looking for you and are finding you for generic search terms. And so what you need to do is have a low enough conversion rate, that you're being found by arm's length people who've never found you before, and you're having to teach them who you are in the first place. So you're probably between 2 and 4% conversion rate. So thinking back to our customer acquisition cost model, this is actually like a massive influencer over how many leads you're going to get. You know, if you increase your conversion rate from like 2 to 3%, you're actually like 50% improvement in your total number of leads, and probably your entire like revenue generated through your online activities. So your conversion rate is super important. So there's loads of things we can do to improve our conversion rate and affect conversion rate. So for example, Adobe came out with this statistic where 38% of users will leave a website if they don't like the look of it, which is slightly terrifying. You've gone to all this bother of having an amazing business, you've got some great people, you've got a great offering, but in 1.5 seconds, someone's gone, ugh, and just like left, and they're out of here, and they're never coming back. Things like it taking too long to load, like images being poor quality, it not loading right on your screen. There's loads of like little things that put people off. And the thing is like major businesses have trained us to dislike slow websites. They've trained us to dislike poor quality performance. So if you're using things like Amazon or ASOS or like whatever it is, those websites have had millions and millions of pounds invested in them and making them really fast and really good quality and really easy to use. And so people have been trained to use that. So out of 10 people coming to your website, 4 have left immediately because they don't think it's pretty enough. That's terrifying. But actually, across things like speed and performance and stuff, there's a whole host of things that you can do to improve this. One of the key things is ensuring your website is fast. If you actually have a website at the moment and you're on a platform that you can manage yourself, so something like WordPress or something that you've built and deployed somewhere, there's a good chance that for free you can go away off the back of today and go to something like Cloudflare.com, which is a CDN, it's a content delivery network. And for no money, you can basically sign up, put your website in, they'll cache your website, and it'll be like 3 times faster tomorrow. So if you do nothing else, go have a look at Cloudflare. It costs you no money, and it'll make your website 3 times faster probably. So it's actually a really good trick is to get your website faster by getting onto a content delivery network. We need to consider the content architecture. One of the key things about conversion rate is that bounce rate. So bounce rate and alignment are the two kind of opposing forces here. So when we think about conversion, especially in business services, we're looking at that initial land, which is alignment, validation, qualification, reassurance, and then conversion. And so what we need to do is go, alignment, how do we align with you? How do we actually resonate with that target audience? And a lot of people, when they're like projecting themselves to the world, what you need to do is actually enable the customer to find themselves in your marketing. So you need to reflect back to them the thing they're looking for. So I'm looking for this, and actually you need to say, we work with people that do this and that and the other and look just like me, so you can actually go to their website and find yourself in it. But that means that your homepage is probably not where they're going to land. Homepages aren't actually what ranks the most in Google. Most of Google's search results are actually not homepages. So what you need to do is think about slicing up those keywords and thinking about, for example, that architecture firm. They have like commercial architecture. They land on a commercial architecture page with commercial architecture imagery and commercial architecture content. Residential lands somewhere else. And that has pictures of homes and houses and like happy couples and dogs. So it's one of those where actually what we need to do is align ourselves visually and with words for the right target audience. If you've got a heritage landing page, if you've got a modern landing page, whatever it is, you need to enable them to find themselves in your content. The design obviously matters, and investing in good design is obviously, as Adobe put it, going to make a massive difference to your bounce rate and your conversion path. But provide a consistent user experience across all devices, which is kind of key. If you're investing in pay-per-click, use the customer acquisition cost model. Google won't give it to you. Run it in a spreadsheet. Actually, at the end of this talk, there's a QR code. So get your camera phones ready because you can download the slides and also like an Excel of the customer acquisition cost model off the back of this. If you're running pay-per-click, what you can do is then just put all your costs in for like how much it's costing you per click, and you can actually then work out your customer acquisition cost model off the back of that. So we'll do that at the end. But obviously, if it's not working, stop spending the money. You'll just be throwing good money after bad. The key thing I wanted to kind of highlight was that this is something that everybody can do. So domain authority of 21 is about right for a company of, say, 10 to 15 people that's been going for a few years. So it's not like out of this world. If you've got a brand new business that's like day one, you're going to have a 0 score of domain authority. But if you've been around for a year and you've got 5, 6 people, you're probably going to have a domain authority of like 5 to 10. These guys are a bit more established. But actually, that disproportionate capability to say, how do we measure ourselves, how do we measure the competition, can have massive results. So just making it fast and responsive and stuff can have that massive impact in increasing that market penetration and generating more leads. And the great thing about this is, and the bit that I love about this whole marketing ecosystem, is that unlike all other marketing is you get your message, you got to get it out there, try and get it in front of the right people. Those people have to take action and do something in order to then get in touch with you. That's all advertising almost ever. And with this, the right people in their own time are already looking. So all you've got to do is get found. So from a conversion perspective, it's great to find people who are actively looking for you and actually have, the offline sales metrics, budget, authority, need, timeline. How are they actually going to turn into new business? We work with lots of other businesses as well. Product companies are interesting because people like Cole & Son, they sell wallpaper. Very posh wallpaper. Some of this wallpaper is like £2,000 a roll. They also have some, much more modestly priced wallpaper. Domain authority 60, which is quite high. They had a Shopify e-commerce store, which was doing really well. Multi-territory, multi-language. But it was one of those things where actually the actual operation of Shopify and all the products and how they're all put together, really good, works really, really well. SEO is really annoying in Shopify because the URLs are really poorly put together. They have like collections and products and so on, which get in the way. So we reheaded it with a different content management system, WordPress, so that we can get the SEO strategy right. But for an established business that's been going for like 100 plus years, that had a big digital footprint, that was already selling millions of pounds worth of, wallpaper, that had a 2,000% increase in their search engine visibility, which actually in their case, ended up with, over 100% increase in revenue over that time period. And that's really interesting, actually, for just people discovering them for keywords that they weren't being discovered for before. So the keywords they were actually being ranked for previously was like their name and their brand name, and a few of the products have brand names. But then they're being discovered for things like floral wallpaper or like wallpaper animal prints, things that they weren't previously being discovered for. And so thinking about that discoverability and how they're going to get in front of new customers is super important. Thacom's a house builder. House builders are really interesting because as a good example of competing archetypes of visitors. So for example, you've got NIMBYs who don't want people to build houses near them. You've got house builders who obviously want to build houses. And they've got investors, and they're going to say to their investors, invest in us because we're going to make you loads of money by building houses, which is going to really piss off the NIMBYs. You've then got councillors, local politicians. So you've got a whole range of different personas and archetypes with competing messaging. How do you actually harmonize that competing messaging, and how do you own more of the overall conversation around what you're doing within a locale? So for them, it was actually having more ownership of the overall conversation within what they were doing. And how can we actually have more of a narrative that we can actually participate in? It's not people talking about us. We're providing more of a format where we're actually controlling or being a participant in that conversation. So increasing that market penetration and that search visibility and actually that conversation was really important to Thacom. And these guys are a really good example of not having to do very much. So these guys are an architect, build, interior design company, very high end, have a good domain authority. They've been around the block probably about 15, 20 years in business. But actually they had this, what they came to us for was they had the design of the website, they had the content of the website, and they didn't want to change any of it. The only thing that we could change was the code behind the website. And that speaks to the specificity of how the website's code is representing that content to Google search engine algorithm. And so by recoding the exact same website with the exact same content, with the exact same design, we saw a 57% increase in the search engine visibility. And again, it's really just about how we slicing up those keywords, reducing the self-cannibalizing nature of saying the same thing across different pages. How do we make sure that each page is really clear about what it wants to rank for, and you're not cannibalizing yourself across different pages, and just making that clear across the code of the website. So actually, coding the website in alignment with that can make a massive difference. But the key thing that I'd love you to take away from this is picking your battles. And picking your battles really it's like the Sun Tzu kind of art of war of digital marketing. Don't enter battles that are too big for you because you won't win. Don't spread yourself too thinly across too many fronts, and be realistic about your resources, your time, your money, your effort, how much content you can create, what you can do about it. And pick battles you've got a statistical chance of success with. Start by going to moz.com or SEMrush, put your website in, look at your competitors' websites. What's their domain authority? What's their page rank? Actually, how similar are they to you, or how different are they? Is this a mountain to climb, or have you got a realistic chance of success? Think outside the box, because it might be that you find, customers are looking for much longer tail keywords than you think, and you can create some more landing pages for them to find you for those keywords, because the intent is likely to be really high, and they're much more likely to convert. If it's not working, stop. So use the customer acquisition cost model. Like I say, get your cameras ready for the slide with the QR code on it. You'll be able to download the resources to help you with that. And understand your start position and set up the tracking, so you can actually see that week in, week out charts like I was showing you. So you can actually see what's working and pivot and change if it's not. So there's a good couple of kind of key tips there about this. So the key things are understand how Google works, pick battles you can win, and invest in good quality design to help improve that conversion rate. So we often get a couple of questions. We've got a walking mic. So if you do have questions, then we're able to sort of answer those. And thank you very much. I'm Peter Richmond from Plug and Play. Cool. Thank you. Cool.
If anyone wants to ask a question, just put your hand up and I can run over. There we are.
What about SEO blog posts?
Cool. Blog posts on SEO, yeah. So blog posts are really interesting, actually. So historically, if you went back 5 years, people would be saying, I need to put content on my website for my blog, which is not what we recommend now. If you have content that you're producing like a blog, that's like a continuous piece of content, find somewhere else to put it. I put it on LinkedIn, put it on Medium, put it on, if you're writing that content and you're creating something that's well written and you can put visuals, imagery with it, use it as press releases, send it out to articles. Like these websites, they're always looking for content. They want more eyeballs. The thing about your website is your website needs to be like a goal-hanging striker. And it needs lots of midfielders crossing balls into the box, as like a football analogy. So what you need to do is have all of these other websites with your content on them, where people are discovering your content on LinkedIn and Medium and like any other industry press or articles, and link them back to you. Linking back to you is going to improve your domain authority and mean you're going to rank more highly for other things. But if you have the content on your website, you're not necessarily going to generate so much content enough of the time to actually rank in your own right to create content hubs. But if you're using content hubs on other people's websites and linking to you, you're going to increase your contextual trust. So actually that's going to help you rank for other organic search terms. So that's the key.
So
cool.
Less is more, basically.
Well, more is more, but just put it on other people's websites and get them to link to you.
Any more questions? Yep, okay.
Where would you start with updating an old-fashioned website that is scoring high on Google? So he's top in our domain, but he's old-fashioned and needs to be sort of brought forward.
Yeah, sure. So the key thing there is like step one is don't cock up what's working. So a lot of our customers who come to us, like Cole & Son,